chemotherapy is what it is, chemical treatment, right? So they inject you with chemicals, and those chemicals are supposed to go through your whole body and kill off any fast replicating cells, like I mentioned. So there are two different types. The first one is, I'm currently in what they call a chemo-induced menopause, right? And it is, like I said, because the ovaries have been destroyed by chemotherapy. So there's a medication I'm on now. It's called Zola. Before chemotherapy, I was given the option of preserving my fertility because I'm still young and not married and no kids. So they did egg harvesting for me. But I had to get a mastectomy of the right breast.
Hello and welcome to another interesting episode of Shout Out Silence, a podcast where we uncover the untold stories of strength, resilience, and personal triumph. I'm your host, Linda, and today I have Vivian with me. Vivian is someone I know from the past. I don't want to say a blast from the past, but she's someone I stumbled on her video on Instagram. I was like, I know this girl. And then I started looking at her story. She's a cancer survivor. And when I saw her story, I was so moved and I was like, she has to be a guest on my show. So she gets to tell me, and then we all right now about her journey. Hello and welcome, Vivian. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Hi. I remember you from World Bank. The image of you I still have was actually, you didn't change much. Actually, you still have the same face I used to know.
Oh, I do.
So yes, you still have the same face, just a little bit mature.
Talk me through, your background a little bit. How did you get to move over to the
Okay.
UK and all of that?
So I'm a Nigerian trained nurse. So I became a nurse in 2016 in Nigeria, and my career has progressed from being a diploma holder as a nurse to doing my BSc, and then I moved to Turkey to do my master's. And I also run non-profit organizations. Actually, I run two NGOs. One is for nurses. It's called Nurse Hub Africa, and then there is Pro Women Safe Sanitary. So my journey into nursing started after my dad had an accident in 2010, and he was badly treated and the wound got infected. And we didn't know at that time, anyways, when he was taken to the hospital, the doctor said we should be giving him milk and tomato, that it will help his blood. So this was a private hospital in a village. So after 1 week, we noticed that the wounds were not healing, and we asked for a referral. So he was referred to FMC in Owerri. It was when we got to FMC that we realized that my dad had become diabetic. And they also refused to admit us because the wound was smelling. So the way they treated us I decided I had to go to nursing. Although all my life, my family has been trying to tell me to go for nursing, but I never budged. Throughout secondary school, I did arts. But after that experience, I went back and wrote WAEC to now go for nursing. So that was how I started my nursing journey. Then 2022, after my master's in Turkey, I decided to move to UK because I saw that Nigeria wasn't heading anywhere when it comes to healthcare. So I moved to UK 2022, and then 2023 ending, around 2023 December, I found a lump in my breast, and that was how the cancer journey started.
I'm so sorry about that, but I want you to hold that thought there. Let's rewind back. When your dad had the was diagnosed of having diabetes, right? How is he now?
He's still diabetic, but he's fine.
Oh, okay.
They later admitted us. My dad's godfather, as at that time, was the whip provost, kind of, in a House of Assembly. So he had to come to FMC before my dad was admitted.
Hmm.
Before then, they threw us out, me, my siblings, and my dad, that the wound was smelling too much. You know how they treat people in Nigeria. So that man had to step in before we were admitted, and my dad got treated the way he was supposed to be treated. You know, Nigeria is a classist society. So if you don't have someone up there, some things will not get done for you. So I noticed, so I thought to myself, if I was in medical field, or if we had someone in the medical field, that thing wouldn't have happened, because the person that came to our rescue is a medical doctor, right? Apart from being a in the House of Assembly, he also had some kind of medical qualifications. So that made me go into nursing. But my dad is fine now.
Did you have plans of going back to helping people like in the situation you were in years back, people that cannot access? Or do you have plans of going back to do anything?
Absolutely. That actually made me, immediately I finished nursing school, 2016, 2017, I set up my NGO, Nurse Hub Africa, and it was get towards training nurses to be up to date with current trends in healthcare, so that they can have proper delivery of care. You know, in Nigeria, we don't have the amount of doctors that we need. We don't have the amount of nurses that we need too, but at least the nurses that we have can step in the capacity of doctors sometimes. So if they're not properly equipped, they will not be able to carry out those things. And this year, we're actually planning to host an event, because there's this yearly award event that we usually have. Is an African event, and we're having another one this year. And during that event, we're going to be launching an initiative for cancer. So the reason for this initiative is going to be to help people that can't afford cancer treatments, people that can't afford the diagnosis, to be able to afford it, or so that we can fund them. Because that was what happened. If we didn't have this man from House of Assembly that came to our rescue, if we depended on what my dad had at his disposal, he probably wouldn't have been treated, because at that time he didn't have money. Do you understand? So we probably would have needed too much or extra help before anything was done. So that is part of the reason I want us to have that initiative. And then plus, my cancer treatment has been free of charge because I'm in UK. But there are people that are going through the same thing that are in Nigeria. They are not dealing with just the disease, they are dealing with also being able to afford the treatments.
Okay, so let's go back to when you said you were diagnosed or you had a lump discovered. So what was it like? Were you just sleeping? What actually led to you noticing the lump? I know that when you someone listening to me be like, "But you're supposed to check this monthly." Or, yeah, I know that, but what was it like for you?
So before I found that lump, I am someone that is very health conscious. So I check my body every time. I make sure I take my vitamins. So it wasn't something that I've ever ignored. When I feel like I need medical attention, I go to the hospital just to check myself, both my reproductive health, everything. So, but when this one happened, it was a phone call. My friend was answering a phone call, and the person on the other side was saying that she had been diagnosed with breast cancer stage 4, and she had just given birth. So she and her husband moved from Nigeria to UK, and when she went to give birth, that was when they found out that she had cancer stage 4. So after the call, we started having a conversation about it, and it freaked me out. I was like, Jesus, can you imagine, just like that, breast cancer? You know, I checked myself that same day. I didn't notice anything. And that was in the month of December. I think it was around 22nd or so of December. On the 26th of December, I just casually moved my hand on my chest, and I felt something lumpy. I'm like, what is going on? A few days ago, we were talking about cancer. Why am I feeling a lump? I checked, and it was actually a lump. So I called here, it's called GP. So I called the general practitioner doctor, and I was booked in for an assessment. So January 5th, I went for an assessment. The doctor looked at it and said that I have dense tissue breasts. So it's expected that there might be lumps, that he doesn't think there's anything to worry about, plus I'm young, but that he would just refer me. So he referred me to the hospital. Fortunately, that is also where I work. So the breast surgeon I met said the same thing, that I'm young and I have dense breast tissue. So she doesn't think it's anything to worry about, but that they will just do a biopsy. So they just did a biopsy. 2 weeks later, I was called in and they told me it was cancerous. Now, they did not just find just one lump. So when I was sent for a mammogram, they found 2 extra lumps. So I had 3 lumps in one breast, and 3 of them were cancerous.
So what was your feeling at that point? Like, oh, I've
Mm.
gotten, I'm now. What was it like? Just let me know. Did you cry?
So, um, sincerely, there's a way I approach life, right? When I was told it was cancerous, my problem wasn't the disease. My problem wasn't even me. My problem was my siblings, because I've always felt this obligation to care for my siblings, to be their mouthpiece. Anything I'm doing is like when someone has children. You understand? Your first thought will be your children. Now I don't have children, so my siblings are my first thought. So I was worried about how they are going to be able to navigate life without me. That was my thought. It wasn't even about me or about the disease, you know. So when the doctor told me that, I was like, how am I going to explain this to my siblings? I kind of started crying. But when when the doctor told me to go ahead with the nurse so that she can talk to me more about it, surprisingly, as I left her office, I stopped crying. I could no longer find the strength to cry. Like there was no tears anymore. So that was only time. The only times I cried were the times I was in the doctor's office. Once I leave, it's gone. So I will not really say is the same for other people, because I know there are people that are extremely emotional, that they'll cry all through, but it wasn't like that for me. My concern wasn't about the disease. It was more about people around me.
I'm wondering because you said, oh, you felt like, oh, how's your siblings going to cope without you? You didn't have, I should have had hope. What stage was it when you were discovered?
So
It was just
when
a
it was,
lump.
yeah, no, it was just, they just told me it was cancerous and it has gotten to my lymph node. So then my doctor hadn't graded it by then, so I didn't know what to expect.
Okay, so I was wondering, why would you be thinking, what are they going to do with them? How about you think, oh, this is just going to pass away, you know?
Is that how you think about cancer? Have you heard? You know that word cancer, once it comes, is death we are thinking. You
Mm.
don't think about hope just like that. It's only after I've gone through this journey that I've realized that most times you don't even get to where you're thinking you get to. But the notion of cancer that I know, that people around me know, is that once it's cancer, expect death. So that was the idea I had.
Okay, so you got diagnosed. How was the treatment like? So what
So
stage
after
were
I
you finally when the doctor?
so it was they had to do so there was different treatment options. I had to go through mastectomy, and during the mastectomy, they got out lymph nodes. So they got out, I think, 5 pieces of it, and 3 were infected. So they had to take me back to surgery to bring out more. So almost all this, and to the back of my hand, all the lymph nodes in this area were brought out. And they checked it, and there was no further progression. That was when they graded it as stage 3. So it hadn't gone to the organs, it was still climbing the lymph nodes. So I had to get a mastectomy of the right breast. Right now, it's an implant that I have. Then, before chemotherapy, I was given the option of preserving my fertility because I'm still young and not married and no kids. So they did egg harvesting for me. So that was a different treatment on its own. I had to do with a different hospital where they gave me medications, like when people are going through IVF. So it was those kind of medications that I was giving. I was injecting myself every day for 21 days. Then the tablets I was taking, and at the end of the 21 days, they did egg harvesting. So they harvested my eggs and put them in a bank. And this was done because chemotherapy destroys every fast replicating cell in the body. And the ovaries are fast replicating. So definitely chemotherapy would destroy them. So yeah, I did that. I did mastectomy, I did egg harvesting, that's fertility preservation, and then I did chemotherapy. Chemotherapy wasn't easy for me. It was really, really rough. I couldn't continue going to work, so I had to stay home for the remaining 6, 7 months. I was home, which affected me majorly. But because I was sharing my journey on social media, so it was easy at some point that I had an audience that were concerned about my welfare. So when I couldn't take care of myself again financially, people donated to me. That was how I was able to get through the treatment. So I had that chemotherapy and then radiotherapy. Going through radiotherapy too was empowering because my transportation from home to the hospital and back was the hospital taking me going and coming back. So going through cancer in UK is actually a blessing in disguise, because if I was going through the same thing in Nigeria, it would have been worse. So yeah.
I was smiling earlier, but my smiles are gone. Like
Why?
I'm saying it now, that's why I'm laughing again. Seriously, like you just brushed it. You that was a lot. Wow, you're
Yeah.
such a strong woman. That was a whole lot. You went through so much. Jeez,
Yeah.
jeez, it's not easy. Like I'm beginning, when you say cancer, I'm like, no, you don't even know. And now all what you went through, that was a whole lot. I'm so sorry about that. I'm glad that you
Mm.
are now a survivor, and by God's grace, you remain a survivor. But
Amen.
amen. So let's go back a little bit.
Mm.
How was the chemo like? How when you say people you're going through chemo, what's the feeling? Does it hurt? Like what kind of symptom, normal everyday symptom can you liken to it?
So, chemotherapy is what it is, chemical treatment, right? So they inject you with chemicals, and those
Mm.
chemicals are supposed to go through your whole body and kill off any fast replicating cells, like I mentioned. So there are two different types. There is one, hey, I've forgotten the name of the first one, and then there's the other one they call paclitaxel. So it's in two phases. The first one is clear white, and then the second one is red. It's called the red devil because that one, the effect is extreme. So the first phase, the symptoms I had was nausea and vomiting, um, agitation. So the first one I took, I was given steroids to kind of counteract any type of allergy I might have, but it caused me severe agitation. Severe agitation is when somebody is not able to relax. You can't sit, you can't stand, you're just unstable. You don't know what you're dealing with, but you just can't stay calm. So that made me, I had to rush to the hospital, and the doctor advised me to take a medication like diazepam to calm my nerves. So that was how I was able to survive that one. And then there is this other medication that you have to continue taking after the infusion. It's called filgrastim. That medication is an injection that you give yourself, and it is supposed to force your bone marrow to produce white blood cells, right? And the white blood cells are supposed to help fight infection. And chemotherapy is killing off everything, including this white blood cell. So the more you take that medication, the medication will cause you pain in the bone marrow, which will now, anywhere there is bone, like the hands, your back, the spine. So I had body pain, I had nausea and vomiting, I had headaches, I had sleepless nights, insomnia. So that was it. Then the second phase of the chemotherapy, then I started having like tingling sensation on my in my palms. My nails started getting black. My nails and my toenails started getting black. In the first phase, I lost my hair. So I had to, before I even started chemotherapy, I cut my hair. And I cut it because I didn't want to face the trauma of having to lose my hair. I once lost my hair before I became a nurse, before I went to school of nursing. I had alopecia, like there were coins, and it traumatized me that period. So I didn't want to experience it again. So when they told me I would be going through chemotherapy, I just had to cut my hair. Yeah, so.
Okay, so what's the difference between chemo and radiography?
Radiotherapy.
Radiotherapy, yeah. What was it like?
So chemotherapy, like I said, is chemicals and it's injected into the bloodstream. Radiotherapy is treatment with radiation. So in chemotherapy is an infusion that goes into the vein. Radiotherapy is like light.
Okay.
That they use on the skin. The reason they offered me radiotherapy is because the lump was found very close to the skin. So there's a possibility that there's a part of that cancer that is still on close to the skin. And because I got an implant, they didn't cut off everything. If they had cut off everything, I probably wouldn't have needed radiotherapy. But because they needed skin to cover the implant, they needed to treat that area.
Freezing your eggs, right? Whenever you need it, they're going to turn it to an embryo, and then are you still going to carry it, or you be needing it?
So it depends on what I want. The reason they have it there is so that whatever I want to do with it, I can let them know. So if I want it fertilized, for example, if I get married and my husband wants us to have a child, we can either go there and they fertilize it there and then implant it in me, or implant it in if I want a surrogate.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, but it's going to be there for at least I think 10 years or so.
So you can't, because you've gone through this chemo, you can't have eggs. Eggs cannot be produced again, or it's going to take a time.
Eggs can. The thing is, I'm currently in what they call a chemo-induced menopause, right? And it is, like I said, because the ovaries have been destroyed by chemotherapy. So there's a medication I'm on now. It's called Zoladex. I take it every month. And that Zoladex is supposed to keep protecting my ovaries. Now, Zoladex is protecting my ovaries, but that does not mean that chemotherapy cannot affect it. Do you understand? So after I have finished this infusion, I'm still on tablets of chemotherapy. So yes. So the Zoladex injection I'm taking is to keep protecting my ovaries. And I'm supposed to take those medications for at least 5 years. But from the second year, from the 2 years, yes, after 2 years, if I want to start trying to carry a child, I can. Because by then, the infusion chemotherapy has left my body completely. Right? And then the Zoladex injection can be stopped, and then I can try taking medication. But 5 years is just to make sure it doesn't come back at all. But 2 years, I'll be in the safe zone to try to carry a child. So, and also I will be able to produce eggs by that time. It's just that in some people, it might never happen again. In some people, it depends on body. Do you understand? You might never be able to completely have a healthy egg. So that's why they get out healthy eggs first, just in case.
You went through a lot, and when someone looks at you on social media, you are so bubbly. Yeah, my Lord, you are so bubbly. You make it look like you make light of your experience. You make it look so light. It's so deep. Hearing it from you.
Yeah, somebody said I made cancer attractive.
But that could be true because you so much trivialize it. You just follow me. What do you call it? Is it 8 days you are doing? Oh my Lord! I'm like, okay, but no. But I think what you're trying to do is to not be mentally down.
Encourage people to.
Yeah.
Yes, because when I post on social media, it helps me let out the emotions. I'm not somebody that hide and drown in my problems. I like to talk about it. And social media also has given me that opportunity to express how I feel. It helps me get my emotions out. And also, when I was starting, when I got diagnosed, I went on the internet to search to see people that have gone through it. And I kept seeing white people. I didn't see anybody like us that is posting their journey. So it's almost like when people are going through cancer, you don't really know what is going on behind closed doors. So I said that I'm going to be sharing my journey. Let people see what it's like. Because what's the essence of hiding what I'm going through? Another person is hiding what they're going through. Now we are not exchanging knowledge. Somebody that is taking care of me does not know what to expect. The person taking care of the other person doesn't know what to expect. At the end of the day, one person might be like, there was a time I was neutropenic. Neutropenic means when you no longer have neutrophils, that's white blood cells to fight infection, right? And because I'm a nurse already, and people around me
Yeah, I'm
are all
here.
nurses, so they understood the necessity of preserving me or keeping me away from infection. But there are people that have someone going through cancer that have no idea that their person can get neutropenic and then they'll be exposed to infection. Most times, people die because of infection, not even the cancer itself, right? So I felt like it's a good opportunity to also let people in on what goes on behind a cancer patient's life.
And I like the fact that you said you have a lot of support around you. Would you attribute that to the fact that you are in the healthcare system already? Can and somebody that is not in the healthcare, and let me see, the person is in the UK, can a person get this kind of support as well? Or is it just because you have your basically your colleagues treating you as well?
The truth is, it contributes because if I wasn't in healthcare, my friends probably will not be in healthcare, so they will not know what to do,
Hmm.
right? They will not know how to step in for me. But because I'm in healthcare and most of my friends are also nurses and doctors, they know and understand what I'm dealing with and they know how to step in. Unlike someone that is not in this field, her friends might be empathetic, but they don't know how best to support. All they can say is, sorry, what can I do for you? But a nurse does not need to ask me, what can I do for you? Because they already know what they need to do for me. So
Hmm.
I think it's part of it too.
Okay. Well, like I said before, you're such a strong woman. I mean, I'm sure time will not allow us to unpack everything, but from what you unpacked so far, I'm sure someone out there can, be better informed on what to. I don't really
Expect.
go through it, but the truth is, if you're already in that situation, you know what to expect and what to do.
Absolutely.
So I was talking to someone before we got on the call, and I said that you look beautiful with the low cut. You think
Thank you.
so? You look
I
more
think so.
beautiful with it. You think so, right?
Yes.
You have not encouraged me enough to cut my hair. I, wa- I remember telling you before we started that I had to go look natural so I
To
can
match
relate.
it.
Exactly. So you have V Atelier, your brand where you make ready to wear clothes. I think it started last year. How is that coming up?
Well, it's going well as far as I have been advertising it, but recently I've not been advertising because we are in winter.
You are
Mostly
what?
what because we're in winter.
Okay.
My audience are in UK here. So the kimonos I was selling is not something that you can wear in winter. So I stopped posting them. But in summer, I will resume. And I have some more products that are in production now to
Hmm.
sell. Yeah, that was actually born out of me wanting to raise some money to support myself before people started donating to me too. So it's coming on well.
You see, you are such a strong woman. You're in this situation, you're
It's good.
fighting illness, and then you are thinking out of the box. You're starting it. Who starts a clothing line while still going through cancer treatments? It's Vivian.
Vivian.
It's Vivian. It's Vivian. Well, I love the fact that people, because you're actually hardworking. Imagine trying to raise funds just to save yourself. I'm glad people came in support. I didn't know you then. I recently, stumbled on your page. Thank God for social media. Stumbled on your page
Yeah.
a few months ago, and I begged that you come grace our screens. Thank you. Thank you
Thank you
so
for
much.
inviting me.
Yeah, it's actually my pleasure. I like the community you're growing, even though it's not really there, but you're growing, and your community is definitely big. It's bigger than mine. I say it's not growing, but yeah, continue doing what you're doing. What you're doing is very amazing. Trying to let us in. So now that when do you wish to stop the cancer? Is it 13 days, the series you usually do? So, do you
Oh,
want to stop it anytime soon, or what do you want to focus after it? Is this something
well,
you literally do?
life after cancer. I wanted to do just 7 days, and I think I got to 9 days now. So I'm putting that one pending because I have a whole lot of DMs from people dealing with cancer or people that have their loved ones dealing with cancer, asking me questions that I feel like I keep answering every time. So I'm hosting a workshop in February. It's called Cancer 101 to let people in on what to expect, how to handle treatments, their also, I've been making some research about nutrition, preventive nutrition, because I was sharing on my story a few days ago, Abi, or was it even today, that one of the doctors I once met told me I could take sugar, but I found out that it's not necessary. Sugar is actually the fuel that promotes cancer and it should be avoided. So I've been making research on the kind of diet one should be taken to prevent cancer and also to go through the treatments. So those are the kind of things I'll be sharing during the workshop. So I'm not proceeding with the series for now until that workshop is over in February.
Thank you
No
so much
problem.
for your time. Thank you for sparing your time to come on the show. I hope as much as people who get to hear your story will be encouraged to share, because you've heard Vivian's story, and I would advise you not to hoard it. Share it, share the video with someone you think that, even if you don't think,
Me
just
too.
keep sharing. You never can
Yeah,
tell.
because cancer is becoming too frequent now, and you never know who it might affect. So sharing this knowledge is very important for people to either know or be prepared, because nobody knows tomorrow. And thank you so much for the opportunity to be on your platform. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Vivian's link is going to be in the description, please. Her Instagram link. So you follow her on Instagram, you can send her a DM. Trust me, she reads her DM because she read mine. I don't have her number. So she read my DM, and rest assured she's gonna read your DM. All right. Thank you so much, Vivian. It was nice having you on the show. I really, really appreciate it with the depth of my heart. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, love.